Hello, I'm Etiquette and welcome back to the second channel video. Today I'm here in Bangkok, Thailand. As you can see from the fairly pretty view behind me, it's a super beautiful city. You've probably heard something about it, and in this video I do want to talk about one of the things that you probably have heard somewhere else. Thailand, and to be more specific, Bangkok is the world's most visited city, depending on which list you use, but still it's a place where lots of people have been and lots of people talk about because there's so many interesting things like haha, tuk-tuks, and haha, there's these great things you need to check out and these bad things you don't want to check out, and I'd love to talk about those things, but instead, why not use this as a great opportunity to do currency with Etiquette? Because despite all of it, this is my favorite series because I find money fascinating. It changes all around the world and there's so many little weird quirks about every currency. So why not talk about the Thai baht, which is a currency you might hear in passing when other people talk about Thailand, but it's not something anyone's really dove into, but there are so many interesting little bits, so let's talk about it. So Thai baht, in case you're curious, are coins that look something like this. This is a whole handful. Here is a single Thai baht coin. This is one Thai baht, as you can see. We've got a head on it, we've got a picture. It's a coin that you might recognize. However, the Thai currency, interestingly enough, did not start as a circle like this, and again, even though in the West where you might live, you might have a coin which has always been some form of circle with value. In Thailand, they started with shells, and again, the shell system of money seems weird, seems wacky, but it basically has the same principles as gold, just not quite as secure, where like, oh yeah, it's kind of tricky to make, so you just kind of would prefer to get them through value rather than get them yourself, and they worked as a currency for some form. But then when Thailand did switch to coins, when they figured, okay, we're going to start using silver, which by the way, in case you're curious, the Thai baht is actually, in the same way the UK pound or the English pound or whatever country's pound came from a pound of silver, in the same way the Thai baht is actually roughly 15 grams, not precisely because obviously it's a full metric, but it's roughly 15 grams of silver. So there you go, that's how they got the name Thai baht, and the first Thai baht coins looked wild. Let me show you the first coins. They're called like bullet coins. I know, there they are, they're in editing, look how amazing it is. They're called bullet coins and they look really different to anything you've ever expected. Again, if you know coins in your country, you probably expect, again, rounds, or this is actually not perfectly round. Is that intentional? But yeah, they're round coins or semi-round coins that have like value to them because they're hard to reproduce. In this case, you can see how there's little edges around the edge. There's a bunch of things in every coin you might recognize. These bullet coins were tricky to reproduce because they were so bizarrely shaped, and I kind of love these, but it did have the issue of not being able to carry too many of them. So eventually, again, after Western influence, Thailand did switch to having a fairly simple, again, circular currency like this. However, and by the way, they also have a note currency which looks something like this. This is perhaps the most commonly used banknote in the country. I don't know for sure, but I'd be willing to bet it is the most commonly used. It's 100 baht. It's worth about $3 US or about 2 and a bit UK pounds, or I guess somewhere between that for euros. Convert to your local currency if you want. But with that said, bear in mind this is one of the most common notes and it's only worth about 2 or so pounds. What makes this currency so interesting is the fact that it is so differently, I guess, denominated. So even though Thailand is rapidly going from a like a low income country to now a middle income country, and their goal is to go to a high income country, and they're I think making good progress compared to most middle income countries. The interesting thing is that their currency has some pretty interesting caps to it, and I guess ceilings and floors are different. So first of all, the largest Thai currency note you can get is 1,000 baht. This is the big one. This is the one you really only see in large transactions or foreigners or tourists or whatever you want to call people. But still, this is a Thai baht note. As you can see, it's 1,000. It's the biggest you can get here, which means the biggest exchange value you can make is about 22 pounds, or about, again, just under $30, which is, again, very different to most currencies. You can trade 50 euro, 500 euros even. I want to say there's a $100 bill that's in frequent use, and the bills go up to 10,000. But no, this is the largest banknote they'll print on any basis with any regularity, and that's kind of weird. That it means that if you want to make large, again, foreign scale transactions, you generally have to get a lot of these, as opposed to other currencies. Again, the UK pound is quite unique, being only having 50 pounds as the lowest, but this goes even lower than that at about $22 to $30. So the other interesting thing about the currency is the fact that even though a single baht is worth about 2p, which, in case you're curious, is smaller than these. So this is a single baht, I am pretty certain. Even though a single baht is worth about 2p, so about 3 cents, and that's less than the smallest unit for a Canada or an Australia, because they abolished the penny, it's not worth keeping. In Thailand, it's quite interestingly the opposite. So in Thailand, again, there is the baht, which is, at one point this was a pretty valuable thing by itself, but because of that, there were mini bahts, or as they're called here, satangs. So satangs are interesting because they're still produced to this day. In 2018, they're still minting new ones of these. You get, half satangs, which are very common. You get quarter satangs, so about 0.75%, pretty common, and you'll get them most places. And it goes down and down and down to 0.01 satangs. You can get a coin which is worth 0.03 US cents, which I don't understand why or how, or why they haven't removed that. In the same way, it's like we should remove the penny. They should really remove the 0.03 penny coin, but they haven't. That's kind of interesting. Also, while we're talking about just like mildly fun facts, you cannot step on the notes here. I checked into this one thinking like, nah, that's got to be like a folklore thing, and maybe in cities some people will be less offended. But this is the king's head. If I tear this, not only is it like technically illegal like in some countries, it's full on disrespectful. If I do this in front of people, that's disrespectful. Not only because I'm wasting money, which I mean probably by itself, but the banknotes are usually in better condition. I've been ruining the banknotes I've had this week, and that's probably not a good thing. The banknotes are in good condition, and that's an interesting, I guess, culture difference that comes from the fact that they have the king on them. That's why you can't step on them too. If money rolls away from you, like right now, as you can see, my money's rolling away, I can't step on that to stop that. If I stepped on that, that would be disrespectful, putting my foot on the king's head, which, by the way, don't put your foot on the king's head in real life either. That's also disrespectful here, as it turns out. So next up, finally, I just want to talk about one last fun fact, because the currency here is so suspicious. So this is 10 baht, about 30 cents, so suspiciously similar to the €2 coin. Like even the composition, like it's a silver ring, a gold ring, it looks basically the same, especially given there's so many euro designs you don't know about, that it means, interestingly enough, a lot of €2 machines, because they don't expect you to come from Thailand with these, will accept the 10 Thai baht coins. So a fun fact for you right there, if you live in Europe and go to Thailand, or you live in Thailand and go to Europe, you can make a lot of money using these money machines, because a lot of the time they're accepted because they're just too suspiciously similar. Again, most of the coins here, if you look at the rest of this hand, it looks just like it's a pile of coins. Like you might not recognize anything, but the 10 Thai baht is very, very similar, and that's a little fun fact. So while we're also here just talking about little weird things, I will say the value of Thailand's currency, because it pegs really weirdly to Western currencies. The kronas in Denmark and Sweden and Norway, it's roughly 10 to 1. The Swiss franc is 1 to 1 with the American dollar at most points. The Singapore dollar, you like divided by 2. Most currencies have a really easy way to get from Western currency to that. But again, in Thailand, it's roughly 42 to the pound and roughly 35 or so to the dollar. Again, those numbers change a lot, even during the week we're here. And that's something that seems, one kind of shows that like not necessarily so Western centric, but also that has changed historically a lot. And I want to point out how just having a low value currency, just because 1,000 of their currency is only worth 30 of yours, that doesn't make their currency bad. Because a lot of people say, wow, they must have done some bad stuff. But no, it's been pretty consistent, and when it has moved, it's moved fairly slowly. There's been one big event where they first free float their currency, where it lost half its value in basically a day, but most of the currency movements have been slow over time, and that is actually something Thailand uses to its advantage. So again, I just want to teach the very basic of like, currency, low value doesn't equal bad, and high value doesn't equal good. In fact, very much the opposite in some cases. But Thailand, for instance, while it was trying to develop to middle income, trying to boost its exports, it was lowering the value of its currency, and this had impacts on the people. But they made stuff happen, and that was a big boost for Thailand. And they get a lot of tourism. That's why they're one of the biggest tourists in the world, because their currency is effectively undervalued. And then on the way up, while they've been trying to boost living standards, the currency has been slowly increasing in value. You used to be able to get 50 Thai baht to the euro just 10 years ago. Now you get more like 30 something, 39 or so. It's increasing steadily, and that's the key thing. The key thing in money, when you have money, which is literally paper you have to put your trust in, you have to be able to put your trust in it. Never do things crazy fast just because it's a fun political decision. If you can trust the political stability in a currency, even if it's slowly changing value, that is what matters. That is the thing that matters above all else. The only reason that hyperinflation is so bad is because it's inflation that's unpredictable. At some point, your leader, your benevolent dictator, your whoever is going to inflate away the value of your money. That's why you can't trust it. Inflation by itself is generally a good thing, like somewhere between 0 and 2%, I think is the wide mark. But even like 5% a year, that's bad. That sounds like a 5% tax on you, and it kind of is. As long as it's stability, that is what matters. So fun fact, Thai currency, it's not that they have a terrible currency and that's what's going on there. It's just that the currency is worth less per unit, and that the currency exchange rate changes a lot, but usually in a tactical way. As long as it changes in a stable way, that's the good thing. And there you go, fun facts about Thailand. I made a fun thing at the end here, it would be it's terrible 1,000, but instead, here is a 1 baht coin. I'm not going to step on it actually, but yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'm obviously something like 30 floors up, so if you believe that if I drop this coin off the edge, someone's going to die, then here you go. There's actually people down there, so don't want to test this theory on a live person. But thank you very much for watching. Actually, come see the view of it. It's super nice. I'm about to leave Bangkok. It's really, really, really nice of a city. There's still some areas where you can see like developments happening. So if you look to the bottom right over there, you can see like right next to this, in this very center, next to like some high-rise fancy apartments and hotels, there's some pretty rough stuff. Then you can see like the train that's just been built. You can see the mega. It's interesting to see. It's I think the best word for it is the the very overused term concrete jungle or urban jungle. That's what this is, and I think that's a good thing. So thank you very much for watching. Second channel. Don't care. Have a nice time and visit Thailand sometime maybe. Please don't arrest me, Thailand. Goodbye.